this kind of behavior is obviously behavior that we will not tolerate. Threats of violence and actual violence against the justices, of course, strike at the heart of our democracy, and we will do everything we can to prevent them and to hold people who do them accountable. For that reason, last month, I accelerated the protection of all the justices' residences 24/7. Also last month, I met with the marshal of the court. I convened a meeting with her, as well as with the deputy director of the FBI, with the director of the Marshal Service, and with our own law enforcement, our own prosecutors, to ensure every degree of protection available as possible.
There's Merrick Garland talking about the attempted, killing of Justice Kavanaugh there at his home that has been getting all this attention from conservatives, pundits, and politicians after, of course, that draft memo leaked of the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. So let's go to the details of this gunman and how he showed up. The man, identified by the Department of Justice as 26-year-old Nicholas Rosk of Simi Valley, was allegedly spotted by 2 US Marshals wearing black clothes and carrying a backpack, getting out of a cab in front of Kavanaugh's house at approximately 1:05 a.m. on Wednesday. That's according to the affidavit. This is what he had on him: a Glock 17 pistol, 2 magazines, pepper spray, zip ties, a hammer, screwdriver, nail punch, crowbar, pistol light, and duct tape are also in his backpack. That's again according to this affidavit. Those things that he had on him sound a lot like the folks that are running around through the Capitol that apparently were just there on a tourist visit or there to say hi to Nancy Pelosi. But either way, continuing, this guy is a criminal. So continuing on, this is his motive. After his arrest, according to the affidavit, Roski told police that he was upset over the leaked draft of an opinion that would overturn the constitutional right to abortion, and also over the recent school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. He thought this justice would support looser gun laws. He decided to kill the justice and then himself, thinking it would give his life purpose. Rosk indicated that he believed the justice that he intended to kill would side with Second Amendment decisions that would loosen gun control laws. He also stated that he'd been thinking about how to give his life a purpose and decided he would kill the Supreme Court justice after finding the justice's Montgomery County address on the internet. So, as we talked about, Merrick Garland was talking about helping out and making sure we protect all of these justices even further, because we can't have these types of things happening. Also, Mitch McConnell was on board with this as well.
According to the report, a man in his mid-20s was stopped near the house of a Supreme Court justice carrying a weapon and burglary tools. He reportedly told police he intended to murder the justice. This is exactly why the Senate passed legislation very shortly after the leak to enhance the police protection for justices and their families. This is common sense, non-controversial legislation that passed in this chamber unanimously. But House Democrats have spent weeks blocking the measure that passed here unanimously related to security for Supreme Court justices. House Democrats must pass this bill, and they need to do it today.
Mitch McConnell just said there, common sense, non-controversial legislation to protect our justices. I agree. It's weird how that's possible as soon as possible, because we have to think about that, prevent them from being murdered rather than giving thoughts and prayers once they're murdered. You see the difference there? Because there was a situation out in Buffalo really fast. Yes, I know you have a lot to say on this, but really fast out in Buffalo to prevent something like this from happening, which many lawmakers aren't interested in. So nearly a year before, this is again about Buffalo, before he was charged with shooting and killing 10 shoppers and wounding 3 more at a Buffalo, New York grocery store. A then 17-year-old student reportedly told his classmates at his high school that he wanted to do a shooting, either at a graduation ceremony or sometime after. He also reportedly mentioned that he wanted to do a murder-suicide at the school, which is located in Broome County, New York. The state police visited the home, talked to the student, persuaded him to undergo a mental health evaluation, is what the article states. When a doctor evaluated the perpetrator as not dangerous, a key hurdle required by the mental hygiene law to hold someone against their will, he was returned home and allowed to graduate days later. Then, as we know from a couple weeks ago, he then went and killed those folks because he wanted to do something. But when we find out about it and we're looking to protect people, just regular folks, especially black folks, versus Supreme Court justices, we just can't figure it out. We also have no idea how this guy got radicalized, because there's no such thing as white supremacy and pundits and politicians pushing people to the point of putting the N-word on the barrel of their gun as they shoot black folks. What are your thoughts, Yas?
Yeah, it's ridiculous how we just keep going around in circles. It's like it's mentally exhausting, not just for me, but for an entire nation of people and people in the international community who are watching us here in the United States and are so confused as to why we can't just fix this problem. And in the case of like mass shooters, right? Especially the guy who was the shooter over in Buffalo and also in Uvalde. There was a recent report that just came out, and they did an analysis of all the shooters since, like, I think since the 1960s, and they found that they had 4 things in common. And there was a lot of childhood trauma, there was a lot of personal crises, there was validation for the way that they felt, but there was also access to guns, right? That's the most obvious thing that we can handle, right? We're not gonna tackle mental health right now in this country. Like, that's not gonna happen anytime soon in a real way, in the way that it needs to happen. But gun control is, but instead we'll just spend more money giving protections to Justice Kavanaugh instead.
Non-controversial common sense laws is what Mitch McConnell said. It's weird how that doesn't cross over for gun legislation for regular folks. Just think about it and how much he cares about you.